Hello everyone, bonjour tout le monde. Welcome to EFA88 on this Friday the 19th. I don't predict the future. I do not predict the future. I've been told that many times in my life. You predict the future. I don't predict the future. I just know what's coming because I know how they think. And a lot of the things I've been talking about, like for example, the mandatory mask. And I said, look behind you. And you look at the mecca of social engineering. Right now, California, mandatory mask. Da-da-da, ladies and gentlemen. Right? What did I tell you? Mandatory mask, indoor, outdoor, all across California. It's coming to a city near you. And when I say this, and I say this from the heart, revenue generation. And once you create a program, once you create the buildings, once you create the departments, once you create the jobs, once you create the positions, once you create everything, they just keep going. They just keep adding and growing, adding and growing. And once you create the position, you can't take it back, right? You can't take it back. They don't go backwards. And you might want to call it charades. You might want to call it whatever you want to call it. But they will maintain the charade. They will maintain the charade regardless of the data, regardless of the fact, regardless if it only affects everybody over 60. Everybody. Remember, the minority runs the majority. This has always been the rule of thumb in this country, in many countries, right? The minority run the majority. Even though 90% of the people are not affected, even though pretty much anybody under 60 are pretty much safe, now they're gonna make mandatory masks everywhere. And eventually with mandatory masks, eventually comes revenue generation. I'm not kidding you, man. You'll see the $100, the $200, the $300, the $400, the $500 tickets, multiple fines. Remember the locations in Ottawa that had people sit on their patio, $880 tickets, just sitting there waiting for their food to be picked up. Go ahead, use the patio. Remember those $880 tickets? If there would have been a second or a third, the incrementation goes up, right? So the incrementation is basically you lose your license, you lose your liquor license, you lose your, you see what I'm coming at. We'll really shut you down. We'll strip you naked. We will strip you naked and throw you out in the ditch if you don't comply with what we're saying. And that's what it comes down to. And ifs or but. There's no and ifs or but. I don't predict the future. I just know how they think, and I know once they create it. You go back to EFA 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Listen to them. Listen to my original EFAs. And again, I don't predict the future, but what I said is happening because I know how they think. I'm interminded. You call it what it is. I know how they think. And once they start with something, regardless, you can tell them you're going to hit the wall. You're going to hit the wall. Hello, you're going to hit the wall. Bang, they're going to hit the wall. And then what happens? Let's have a meeting on why we hit the wall. And then after the meeting why we hit the wall, let's look at what we can do with that wall. And then it just keeps going, right? Next thing you know, you got this billion-dollar wall. Like, it's just mind-boggling how they think. Money has no consequence. I can't explain it. It's not their money. First of all, it's always a great idea when they're using other people's money. It's an old analogy. Margaret Thatcher, what she said is socialists always have a great idea when they're using other people's money. It's been my experience like that in business. There's people that have great ideas as long as it's not coming out of their pockets. If it doesn't come out of their pockets, oh man, let's do this, let's do that, let's go here, let's go there, let's do everything, right? But it doesn't come out of their pockets. So the same thing applies. This charades, whatever you want to call it, those that are sitting there with data, those that are extremely healthy, those that are like outside all the time. And I've told you this from day one. I have seen people like city officials together forever, the entire time. Like, we never stop. The people in the, call it the essential services industry, the construction industry, or service industry, or keep the food going industry, or keep the personal protective equipment going industry, keep the fuel going industry, keep the food going industry. All those groups, I mean by the millions. We must all have mystical, magical force fields around this, right? Because all of us in the millions kept going. Nothing happened. Nada, zero, nilch, right? I'm telling you, and everybody knows. So the facts and the data is there. The proof in the pudding is there. But yet we're still going full tilt ahead, man. Full tilt ahead. Let's go. Let's batten down the hatches. Stage 5, we're going in. Right, 50% capacity. Like, think about that. Let's go in at 50% capacity. It'll take 4 or 5 years for us to rebuild. Think about that. What are they saying? What are they already telling you? Yesterday, they're talking about every Canadian should have a salary of $30,000, $35,000 a year, should be paid for. Every Canadian should have a salary, I guess that we're 16, of $30,000, $35,000 a year, and it should be paid for by either government or the people who would make money. So here it is, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to go out there. You're going to work 16, 12 hours a day. You're going to work 7 days a week. But yet, we're going to give money to those that everybody deserves a salary. Regardless if you move or don't move. Regardless if you're a lethargic sloth and just wants to sit on a couch all day and watch reruns of The Price is Right. It doesn't matter. You deserve a salary. And those that are the worker ants, which I said back in EFA 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, look at it. They will, the socialism, the mindset is all there. It's already there. It's already infiltrated. They are within the fabric of governments. They are within the fabric of politicians. They are the decision maker. They have now become judges and lawyers and politicians and lobbyists and decision makers all the way up. They're already in positions of power. They're already making decisions. That's why we are where we are today. And people have been standing on soapboxes for the last 30, 40 years saying, are you guys nuts? Literally, passing out stupid bills today. That's what's going on right in the world over the last 40 years. And this is where we are today. Now, in British Columbia, one of the schools, one of the big unions is talking about not allowing law enforcement police officers into their schools. Look it up. Like I said, I don't make this up, right? I don't make this up. Now the law enforcement, you law enforcement, all those of you, remember all the volunteering you do, all the services you do, your 12-hour turned into an 18-hour shift, a 24-hour shift, and I've done those. I've been through back-to-back riots back in the prison system. Literally, we were up like what 70 hours, 60 hours straight. We had back-to-back riots, right? People like that do that. we go through your 12-hour shift turns into a 24-hour shift like that sometimes, depending on what you do, etc. That said, all those individuals, all of you that have given your life, that have given your service, your 25, 30, 35 years of service, you are now monsters. You are now individuals that cannot go in schools no more, because we are given more credibility to those that flip car, burn buildings, murder. We have murderers now that have more credibility than law enforcement. There's gazillions of videos out there. You see store owners in these states, in the United States, being beaten up. Women, like 10, 12, 14 young men jumping on their skulls and kicking them in the head and taking everything from them. They have rights. You don't have rights no more. This is the world we're into. This is what they're providing you with. So I, Jean-Guy Bourguignon, do not predict the future, but what I do and what I do understand is ideologists and how they think and how they have zero comprehension, zero understanding for your money, and literally, and even if they did, they don't give a rat's ass. It's their idea. They want their idea pushed forward. They don't look at budgets. They don't look at money. Somebody else in the mystical, magical unicorn world will take care of it, and somehow it'll get all swallowed up into the tax base, and they will be happy, and they're going to get a plaque, and they're going to get a medal, and they're going to stand there with a picture opportunity, and look what I did with your money. Look what I did with your money. Jean-Guy Bourguignon, EFA88. I don't predict the future. I just know how they think.